Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, right?
Yes.
Here in the US.
Uh-huh.
I have my beautiful soul sister, Lilia, joining me today. I'm very excited. Very
Hi.
excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to everybody.
And we have more people joining us. Here, let's bring them in. Let's bring Miss Allison on to join us. And hello.
Hi.
How are you? Happy Monday.
Yay.
Right? So, how are you today? I haven't seen you. I've been in Florida now for two and a half weeks.
Yeah.
2.5 weeks we've been here in Florida, and I have yet to see you in person.
I know. It's been a wild time having family in the state, and it's been freezing, so I feel like I've been hibernating.
Oh, for sure. So we are going to talk about today's Global Impact Educator webinar is all about health and happiness. And I have two amazing sisters of mine here to share their incredible journeys. And I wanted to, like, New Year's resolutions are a thing, right?
Yes.
They're still a thing. Look on Allison's face.
I'm like,
what does that word mean to you? Is it disturbing?
a little bit. I feel like not disturbing. I personally don't start in January. I'm always making new goals, and whether I'm getting there or not, I'm refreshing throughout the year. So January just feels very I don't know, something like, people make money off of it, every single ad on TV is like, so you want to be a new you. So, I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. For
Right.
me, it's just not something I usually do in January.
So I would love to know that. Those of you that are either with us here in the webinar in Zoom, you feel free to type in the chat here, or definitely chime in the chat on the Conscious Educator Facebook group where we are streaming live. Love to know anyone who's had New Year's resolutions that have actually worked, that have really stuck, because I know that there's times when it does, right? When you're ready, you're ready.
Yep.
And so today's definitely not all about New Year's resolutions. That's not necessarily what we're talking about. And at the same time, I wanted to do this at this time of the month because it is a time when people start thinking about new and what's next and how do I grow to the next level for whatever that is for me as a human. And we're no different as educators, and we're no different as humans. Doesn't matter what your profession is. So I really wanted today to be about how do we actually make those shifts when it's the right time for us to where they're sustainable. And you both have done an amazing work for yourselves, not for anyone else, not because of anyone else, not to please anyone else, not anything. It's been just, now's the time. I'm tired of saying I want to do this, and I'm just going to do it. So I'm super excited for you both to share your stories and hopefully inspire and nudge a few people who are watching and listening in, really what it looks like to take back your health and your happiness, because they are connected.
Yes.
So let's start talking about like that connection first. Like, let's just dive into the meat of that connection between health and happiness. So we can talk about it in theory first, and then we can talk about your own personal stuff. So whoever wants to go first and dive in with, like, what is that connection for you of health and happiness?
Well, for me, my health journey, should I just talk?
Sure. Okay. Go ahead and dive in.
So let's just dive in. So I actually just celebrated my 3-year anniversary of my healthy happiness life that I've been working towards. So about 3 years ago, I've gotten to my heaviest. I'll say it, I was 150 pounds. And that for me, because I'm 5'4" and I've always been really thin, it was big. But a lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, no way, how is that possible? Because I held it kind of right here in my midsection, really. Like, it didn't really show in too many places. But I got to the point where I was not happy. I was just, I could see it in my face. I just wasn't happy. But I also hated the gym. I hated going to the gym. I didn't want any part of the gym. The thought of going and being around other people just did not make me like, I didn't want to
For
do
how
it.
much she loves people, for her to go, I don't like people.
I didn't like,
She
I
doesn't
didn't
like sweaty people.
No, I didn't like sweaty people. Just, it was not my thing. Right. So, so I had a friend of mine, which is my coach, approach me about, a new program through Beachbody. So I was thinking about, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure. Am I really? Okay, fine. So
everyone's heard about Beachbody.
Everybody's heard about Beachbody. P90X.
Like, it's been around for so
Tony
long.
Horton. Yeah, it's been around for a really long time.
For some people, it's a good thing. For some people, it's that's a thing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So she had approached me about this new program called 80-Day Obsession. And I'm like, oh, good. 80 days? Really? Am I really ready to commit to 80 days of working out? And I'm like, okay. And it was one of those where I'm like, all right, I'm not even going to think about it. And I'm just going to commit. I'm going to commit, but I'm going to commit fully. Like, I was not going to fall off the wagon or anything like that. Cause I had done programs before. It was just like, yeah, I was watching my food. I was doing what I was doing, but I really wasn't exercising. And I had just gotten to the point where, okay, we're going to do this. So I dove in. I looked at the meal plan because it came with a meal plan. I didn't even want to look at the exercises, but I knew they were 45 minutes to an hour long. And I'm like, oh gosh, how am I going to do this? 45 minutes to an hour. But the good thing about it is it was in my living room. I didn't have to, leave to go to the gym. So I could stream it from my TV. I had my weights, I got myself ready to go that first day. I dove in and oh my gosh. After about 10 minutes of the workout, I thought I was going to die. I really wanted to give up because I'm going, oh my gosh, I am more out of shape than I even realized. But I pushed through, I gave it my best. And, I probably didn't work out as hard, but I didn't know what else to do. I was just doing it. No, I didn't quit. I didn't quit. So I followed the program to a T. It was 7 days a week, 45 minutes to an hour. And it actually turned out to be 90 days. Not 80 days, because after the first week, you cut off the Sunday. So you didn't count the Sunday anymore. So it turned out to be 90 days.
Yeah, like sneaky.
Right. And after those 90 days, I dropped about 30 pounds and I lost about 25 inches all the way around. Wow. And it was such a great feeling to look from my starting point, my before pictures to my after pictures, because you don't really notice it too much when you look at yourself every day just in the mirror. But once I actually compared the two pictures, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I did it. I totally did it. And it was such a good confidence booster for myself that I knew I could actually follow through and stick to something. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I think I've still been maintaining. I think I've done probably about 10 programs now. And I love it. And through COVID and everything, it was the one thing that has really shown me that it makes me happy. Working out and keeping me sane and, still being able to enjoy my life, still be able to, eat the sweets when I want them, or go out and get a burger, or just enjoy the food still.
Burgers are good.
Yeah, burgers are really good. Burgers and fries and milkshakes, they're the best, and still be able to enjoy. And it's not so much a diet anymore. It's now just become my lifestyle. It's become my healthy way, and it makes me happy. And, I got my soul sister here to join me on this new awesome program. And and we've been having a really good time. So for me, it's been the one thing that has really helped me really be happy with myself and know that I'm doing this for me and not for anybody else. So
I've gone on and off of different exercise things my whole life, and it wasn't until throughout the last 10 months of being in lockdown, and I really didn't want to be in a gym. I really didn't want to be in the yoga studio. I didn't want to do those things. I'm a germaphobe to begin with. And so COVID's just another layer for me, which is all kinds of hot mess of crazy. And so finally, I'm in December, I was like, we're spending the month together anyways, getting ready to go to Florida to quarantine together to create our pod and then to go and be in Florida here. So it was like, you know what? I'm just going to dive in. Let's just do it. She's like, there's this new program called 9-Week Control Freak. I'm like, oh, could not be more appropriately named for me. So I'm just, apparently that's my sign.
Yes.
And So because I put on the COVID 10 or everyone has a different number. For me, it was a COVID 10. And I'm like, I just like, this is not okay. I don't feel good. I don't like, it just like, I don't feel strong anymore. I feel like I'm just sitting right here all the time. Not that I don't love you guys, but I need to move. Like I need to get my body moving. And so we jump in and this is the same thing. Like Lisa Chastain was on here with me a couple weeks ago and we were talking about money and I talked about her as my money coach because I finally just get to the point where it's like, I'm going to stop trying to figure it out on my own and I'm just going to surrender. I'm just going to surrender and I'm going to go, just teach me like I'm 5. Like I'm just going to follow, just follow. Sandy, don't like, stop trying to figure it out. You like, I create enough in my world. Like I'm good. These other areas of my life, I get to just surrender and create partnerships. And so this partnership with Lilia and with Beachbody has just, and again, I've always been a fan of like Beachbody results because they look really pretty. Whereas now it's like, no, I get to feel the results with me. And we started in December so that it wasn't really a New Year's thing because I didn't want to call it that. I didn't want to, because in my mind too, New Year's resolution means, oh, you can just let it go whenever you're done with it. It's never been a commitment thing for me where it's like, no, this is a lifestyle shift. We're going to get used to working out no matter where you are, there's no excuse because you're not at your gym or you don't want germs, Sandy, or whatever. Like, okay, I'm okay not wanting germs like that. I'm not a bad person for that, but I also get to just work out wherever. And so anyone that's been following us on Instagram, that's where we've been posting our sweaty selfies and that kind of thing. It really is about happiness at the end of the day. And it's not happiness for a number on a scale. It's about energetic happiness because movement of any kind shifts your whole brain chemistry to a more positive state. We know this. I mean, there's tons of research and experience and, even just going out for a walk, clears your mind and helps you, find your center in your place of joy. But it also has to do with nutrition, right, Allison? And so nutrition is a big part of what we talk about. I think you've taken a really amazing approach to nutrition and really shifting your whole mindset. And so if you want to share a little bit about your journey, that would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am in my 14th year in education. And if you're in education, teacher culture is often centered around food. There's always a birthday and you're getting a cupcake, or you're emotionally eating on your planning time because today was stressful, or you're drinking wine for dinner. And so, being in education is my passion. I'm totally made for it. But I've had to do a lot of unlearning, and it started kind of, I hit my breaking point during the pandemic, just constant anxiety, and not just due to the pandemic, but this had been years of being overweight and having anxiety about my health, and fear about my health, and living in that, and going to work and being only focused on work, and not taking the time to kind of focus on myself so that I could show up as my best self at work. And really, like I said, I started trying to unlearn some things, especially that, you often are asked, well, what do you do? And you say, well, I'm a teacher, or I'm an educator. And really having to break that and go, wait, yes, I am super passionate about this, but I am not just that. And so that's kind of where I started. A few friends of mine had been working with a local nutritionist, and I have had her number for probably 4 years. And I kept being like, yeah, I'll call her at some point. It costs money, or, just not wanting to take that, upset what I'm used to and change what I'm used to, or really giving it the time. And so a couple of things. I went to Bali with Sandy. What year was that? 2019? I don't even know now. 2020. I don't know what day it is.
That's something we can talk about another.
Yeah. So
the illusion of time.
Yeah. While I was there, just had a couple just mental well-being moments, and that just kind of jump started me realizing that there was a lot that I really did need to work on for myself outside of I'm an amazing educator. I love it. I'm passionate about it. I can do it with my eyes closed. And so during the pandemic, I had one of my friends come over and sit outside with me, distanced and everything. And she is one that had been working with this nutritionist and she was glowing. And she's one of my friends who I've always seen as someone who's fit. I never thought like, oh, she really needs to lose weight, which is also part of the culture of we think someone has to or doesn't have to. But that's when I kind of realized like nutrition isn't necessarily about weight loss. She was glowing, her eyes were glowing, her hair looked amazing. And I mean, we all have pandemic hair right now. So, she was there and we were chatting and I just kind of got very emotional and it just clicked for me that it was time for me to also get to that glowing space. And so I called the nutritionist. I think I cried with her on the phone the first time. And it's just been a really great journey from there. Just a journey of healing my mind, body, and soul all together. And learning so much learning about what nutrition really is, how digestion works, how to keep our gut healthy. I'm all about Instagram and I follow like Gwyneth Paltrow and Goop and all the things. And, it just always seemed like, yeah, okay, maybe if I like lived somewhere else, or there was always some sort of excuse. And maybe if I wasn't a teacher and at school all the time. And so I've really had to start setting boundaries within myself and stop making excuses. I've had to set boundaries with family, with friends, with colleagues. And it's been really wild ride. I'm in my 4th month of working with a nutritionist. I'm working with her for 6 months total, unless there's other little programs she does. But I've lost like 35 pounds. And not just that number, I'm tracking my BMI and my metabolic age and all these things that I never really thought to do before. But I have so much energy. I think like week 3, I called her and was like, something's wrong. I feel like I was shot out of a cannon. She's like, no, you're just not wanting to lay on the couch after work. So just the increase in energy and my brain fog is gone. And it's still learning. I still have days where I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel right. I wonder what's going on. But it's not a fearful thing anymore. So I've really got into that space of understanding that what I put into my body really does affect what's going on around me because I'm not as agitated anymore. I learned eggs make me cranky and like I never really realized that before. Very interesting.
Can you say what you said the other day?
Oh, yeah.
I might not want to say it, but it cracked me up.
I used to literally make like, oh, it's Sunday. I'm going to make those little egg bites in the oven. It was like my go-to. I ate them every morning for breakfast, egg white bites. And literally the first month you work with a nutritionist, you kind of do a detox, but you're eating. Like I ate so many vegetables. I don't know what to do with myself, but, then you kind of add things in. So the first thing we added were eggs and I ate them like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Well, every morning after I ate them, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, I literally wanted to throat punch people. Like I was like, I don't know why, but I just don't like anyone.
Why that makes me laugh. I should not laugh at you wanting to throat punch people.
I know, but it's just so crazy. Like putting my pants on, I'm like agitated, like, ugh. And it's like, oh my gosh, something so simple as, and I can still eat eggs. I'm just now aware that I'm going to want to throat punch people the next day. So it's just.
Maybe those are Sundays by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But it's just so crazy to learn these things because, as educators, we are lifelong learners. I haven't been putting that practice into myself. And so just a total.
Can I pause you for a second? Right there?
Yeah.
Because that right there, like such a nugget of wisdom that seems so Captain Obvious, right?
Right.
As educators, any type of educator, right? When you are teaching other people something, you are an educator, right? If you do that and you get paid for it, you are an educator. And so we do it and we get into this mindset where, oh, that's our job. versus no, when you choose that as a purpose profession, right? It's a core value of yours
Absolutely.
is growth and learning, right? And so when it's a core value of yours, it means that it's a whole life thing.
Right.
And if you're out of alignment with that value in any area of your life, you're going to be off. Your wheel's going to be clunky. However, I mean, we can look at it in 100 different metaphorical ways. But really understanding that that values alignment is so key. And so being a lifelong learner doesn't mean you just want to inspire others to be lifelong learners. It means you get to do the work yourself for yourself. And that was the brilliant part about what you said was that it was like, oh, it's for me too. So I you worded that.
Yeah, I think we're caretakers by nature. If you're in an education, in any realm of education, you want to care for others, you want to see change take place. And you get from my experience, you get so deep in that you forget that your number one teacher is yourself. You're teaching from habit and from how you maneuver situations and all the things. So, yeah, the journey has been interesting, and just like I said, so much to learn with nutrition in itself. And I've been in therapy for my mental well-being, and it's just it's really cool to see the connection once you start putting things in your body for a purpose. That you don't need to emotionally eat or drink wine for dinner. I mean, with dinner, but
With dinner.
Yeah, absolutely. And so like your journey with food has been an adventure as
Oh,
well too.
yeah.
We're just going to call it an adventure, right?
Yeah.
Life is an adventure.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, before, I started my healthy journey, I used to work in an office. So I was, sitting from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. I would leave my desk, go run, to whatever fast food restaurant was around, and would just eat at my desk. And I literally was eating fast food 5 days a week. And I know that's, because it was just easy. And I didn't want to prep my food. I didn't want to deal with all that because who wants to prep their food? Who wants to eat healthy? I was like, I don't want to do that. So it was just easy to just go to whatever fast food restaurant it was and get food real quick.
Yeah.
And then once I started this and started learning about it and following the meal plan, it was like I was spending 4 or 5 hours in the kitchen on Sundays, and I was writing down everything I was eating. This is what I like. I was eating every 3 hours. And at first it was hard. It was a hard change, and it was really hard to get used to. By the time I got to my last meal, I was like, I don't want to eat this anymore. This is like, oh. But I knew that I had to do it because I wasn't going to go off the ledge. I couldn't do it this time. And, and I stuck to it and I stuck to it. And now that's how I eat. I don't spend 5 hours in the kitchen anymore because I've gotten it down to a science to where it doesn't take me as long. But now I actually enjoy meal prepping. I do.
As long as I clean up after.
Yeah, the cleanup. Oh my gosh, it literally feels like you've got so many more dishes than you should when it comes to food prep. But it has to be done. So I really do enjoy doing my food prep now, and because I know that I'm getting the nutritional value. I'm eating what I'm supposed to be not supposed to, but what I enjoy eating, and and I'm putting healthy food into my body. Again, don't get me wrong, I'm still going to go out and eat a burger and fries from time to time, and have a cookie or have a glass of wine or that type of thing, because I know I can do it. I've got a different mindset now when it comes to food, when it comes to eating, when it comes to being healthy and living this new life and this new lifestyle. So yeah,
it's so fascinating. It's like the similarity for all three of us really is when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you actually just go enough is enough, right? And so my journey with food is fascinating because through food sensitivity tests, just from going and seeing functional medicine doctors, I did it about 8 years ago, and then I just went again last month and got all of my food panels done and everything. And just recognizing how many things actually irritate my body. It's like, oh my gosh, my food diet is so restrictive if I choose to look at it that way. And so when I share with other people, like I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy. I just found out no almonds, no flaxseed, no ginger, like I've got this list of things, no eggs. And to the rest of my family, they're like, oh my gosh, that's so restricted, that's so this. And I'm like, but it's almost forcing me to find healthier things to eat. And so over the last 8 years that I've been gluten-free and dairy-free, I've known those for a long time. Dairy-free has been like 16 years for me. Because I recognized how dairy made me feel, as well as made my face break out like a crazy teenager with cyst-like acne. And so recognizing that, it was like, okay, no, I get to take responsibility. And so now it's not that big of a deal. Like, does cheese look like it would taste good? Yeah, absolutely. So I just go find some vegan cheese, and everyone else is like, oh, this doesn't taste the same. I'm like, you're right, because it's not that. But it's good to me because it's what I get. And so I choose to look at it through the lens of, no, I get to eat healthy. My body is just telling me through, and I'm choosing to go see the functional medicine doctor. I'm choosing to pay attention to my food sensitivity test. I'm choosing these things for me. Do I have to? No. But for me, it's about my energy. It's about my happiness and my overall well-being, to where I'm going to look at every facet of my life of where I'm living in alignment, because health is a core value of mine. And, I really recognize that when I'm in relationship with another human, right? And recognizing what they do or don't do that's either in or out of alignment. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. So that it's almost like a mirror and going, oh, okay, that's a true core value. So it doesn't mean for me, like for both of you, that if I want a glass of wine, I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm like, I'm not going to break out the proverbial bat and go, bad person. Like, no, it's, you know what? I'm grown. I get to choose what I'm going to put in my body. And I also get to choose that my overall lifestyle is about health and wellness. And it's not about some fad or some, whatever it is. It's really, and I joke, I'm like, I'm a science experiment. And it's like, I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm going to make it an adventure, and I'm going to make it playful. And I think the way that both of you have really, kind of found that journey for yourselves, it's a playful journey, right? Because if you take it too serious, it feels like shit, right?
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting too, because I, as I've been going through the months, someone will have food and I'm like, I just want to eat one of your French fries and try it and see what happens. And it's like, I did that one day and I'm like, that didn't even taste like what I thought it was going to taste like. Like my whole palate has changed, based on it. What I'm really doing is clean eating. And so there's people who are at work, like, oh my gosh, how's your diet going? You look great. And I'm like, oh, it's not a diet, but thank you. It's a choice. I'm clean eating. Eventually once I've made it through all my little phases of we're adding stuff in still, then I can have whatever I want, whenever I want. But majority of my life will be spent clean eating because I know, or eating clean because I know how it's making me feel, and it's actually really cool because you were mentioning about your family. I've been spending a lot of time with my family from Maryland and DC over the past 2 months while they've been in Florida. They're kind of my bubble. But my sister is also very, like into following wellness and, wellness people on social media. And as she's been seeing and testing my food that I make, now she's kind of like, okay, I got a food journal and here's what I'm doing. So, doing it with someone else and having someone to ask questions to or share recipes with, that also is really helpful. And keeps it kind of interesting because then someone's trying something different and you're like, oh, it's clean and I can try that. So that's the other side of it is, it's kind of brought a new hobby into my life. Before I'm like, oh, I'm a baker. I don't really like to cook that much. My poor Italian grandmother will be angry at that statement, but, now I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun seeing what I can make, and learning how to use spices and all kinds of different foods that maybe I wouldn't have originally put into my diet, so it's definitely how you look at it. And I've had to definitely change not only my patterns of behavior, but my patterns of thought through it. And that's helped make me happier. That's that connection. I'm realizing, wow, I had some toxic things going on and now I'm getting to choose something else for myself. So it's really
those two things combined, the patterns of thought and your tribe, because they're connected, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about that earlier. I was having a conversation with my niece about, choosing your circle of friends and how that really influences your outcomes in all facets of life, and your hobbies and those things that inspire and influence you. So when you think about your mental patterns and breaking those mental patterns, and we've talked about this before, it's been a while since we talked about it, but the phrase tribal shame, and how sometimes you can have certain people in your life unintentionally. They're not bad people, but they will unintentionally guilt and or shame you for your new choices.
Yes.
And it's again, it's something to be aware of, because it's not you doing something wrong, right? And I think that's the critical piece as you start choosing you and your values alignment. And whether that's nutrition, whether that's exercise. How many people gave you a hard time for waking up at 3:45 to exercise in the morning?
Yeah, there was a time where I was getting up at 3:30. It was like 3:30 in the morning. I was awake because I had to be at work at, by 6:30, 7 o'clock. So I wanted to make sure I was able to get my, to get my workout in. They're like, you're getting up at 3:30. Why would you do that? And I was just like, because that's the way I want to live my life. I'm going to get up at 3:30 in the morning and do my workout and know that I'm being productive, because getting home from work, the last thing I wanted to do was work out. Like, I did not want to work out by the time I got home. I just wanted to get home and decompress and relax. So I'm like, I'm getting up in the morning, I'm doing my workout and get my day started, and I'm good. And then they're like, well, what time are you going to bed? And I was like, I don't know, 9:30 sometimes. I'm like, sorry. So if you text me after that or call me, I probably won't answer you. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? And that's okay. Like, I'm okay with that, because that's my choice. That's my choice. And that's what made me happy. I don't get up that early anymore, but and that's what made me happy at the time, because it was my happiness. It was my happy place.
And again, so when you have other people questioning, and this is true for me, and this is something that I've been working on, just my own self-confidence, right? Is when people say, and they're just questioning, but the translation in my mind is like, "Ooh, why are you judging me?"
Yeah.
And it's like, they're like, I wasn't judging you, I was just asking, why do you wake up that early? And for me, it's like, ooh, it's a visceral reaction. That's my healing to do. That's my mental pattern to shift, is to not be assuming that they're judging, or I'll make a joke out of it, right? And I'll lighten it and go, no, don't be so judgy. So it's, again, those mental patterns and habits that we have to break, not only in how we translate what people are saying, but even in being mindful of if there is a passive aggressive guilt or shame attached to what they're saying, how do you want to show up for yourself in order to remain committed to what you've chosen? So Allison, what have you, because we were talking about that and how you've navigated that as well.
Yeah, I actually just did like a whole school-wide mini lesson about positive self-talk. And that really is, I mean, I live alone, so I'm always talking out loud to myself. And I'm like, is this normal? And I read an article somewhere like from NPR, and it is. So I feel bad.
If it's on NPR, it's totally valid.
Yeah, it's totally
totally normal.
So, but really shifting that. And you're always talking about that bat, like put down the bat. And that is something that I definitely have had to work on. And even when I'm at work and it's like, okay, teacher life is like, show up at school, don't stop, eat while you're walking in the hallway, leave school way later than you're getting paid to leave, keep working at home, shove something down your throat, and you're done with your day. And so I totally get how hard it is to shift out of that narrative or that schedule or that time crunch. And that there's so much shame when you do shift out of that. It's like, you're leaving at 4. I'm like, well, I planned Tuesday and Thursday, I'm staying late. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm taking time for myself and leaving, and really, if I'm in the mood, I'll explain. I'll say, oh yeah, well, I decided to do this instead. Or in my mind, I just have to self-talk and go, you know what? That's a them thing. They're struggling. And how can I support them? Because I am in a support role this year or the past couple of years. I'm the instructional coach at our school. So a lot of times this year, especially because we're dealing with COVID and being in the building. We're in Florida, so we have been in the building since the start of school. I am working a lot on how can I support the well-being of my staff. And so a lot of times I do have to stop myself and go, okay, they're not shaming me. They're in crisis or they're having an issue or they just are, you know, kind of leaning into that curiosity side of things. And so I really do have to just, if I ever start feeling that, like, why are they doing that? I do have to stop myself and say, okay, where is that coming from? And kind of, Sandy, we talk a lot about this at my school is leading with curiosity and really assuming that they're coming from a good place, but it's just new to them. It's something different that they're not used to seeing me. Okay, no, I'm passing up on all the food in the teacher's lounge to go have my already prepared meal or salad or whatever it is that I'm eating, or I'm having my smoothie or whatnot. And so, yeah, it's a lot of positive self-talk. I'm like, okay, it's okay to talk to myself. And, just reminding myself, actually, my nutritionist said something really funny one time. She's like, when you see other people eating all the things that you think you want to eat, just say like, oh, that's so much poison they're eating. I'm like, well, I don't want to like shame them for what they're eating. But there have been times where I'm like, okay, no, that's toxic. I'm not doing it. I've had to tell myself that's why you're not doing it. But yeah, it's a lot of just kind of that self-talk and that stopping yourself at what your natural reaction is, that you've built that neural pathway in your brain to always go to that, shifting from there. So
and it's looking, when you talk about that leading with curiosity, which I talk to, all of my teams about so often, is that self-awareness muscle that you're building, right, is in recognizing the visceral reaction that you're having, whether it's positive or negative. It doesn't always have to be negative, right? Mm-hmm. Is that that awareness of the visceral reaction, and then you get curious with it in your head. Like that's the self-talk, right? Is the what does this mean? Why am I like, they just said, why aren't you having a cupcake? And I'm all befuddled inside. That's a new word, right? I'm all befuddled. I'm like, oh, I haven't said that word in a long time. Like I got this whole thing going, like, why am I irritated that she just said, why aren't you having a cupcake? And now I'm like, I just want to throat punch you. Not that we're going to throat punch people, but that's the theme today. And so it's like, no, that's a me thing. Like, I got to calm down and I got to get curious. Why do I feel that way? Maybe my blood sugar is low. Maybe I do really need sugar, but maybe I need healthy sugar. What is healthy sugar? What can I do? And you go through this whole self-talk. And we all do. So no one's crazy when you have that little hamster wheel go, when you're like, and you're having this whole conversation with yourself. We all do it. It's okay. It's normal. And get to that place where it's like, okay, then you're going to take appropriate action in alignment with your values. But you don't get to that without the recognizing the awareness that you're having a reaction to something, and it can be a slight little reaction, right? To a full-blown like crying or anger or whatever. I mean, you can be triggered in different ways. So navigating through with curiosity with yourself first is how you get to that happiness, right? It's how you get to that I'm enough.
Yeah.
I'm worth it. Because those two things, I'm enough and I'm worthy, are two of the hardest things for us as humans to repeat to ourselves in our head, let alone to believe. And I remember the first time, and Louise Hay was the one who taught me about mirror work. Have either of you done mirror work? You have. And I remember the first time I tried it, I could not look myself in my own eyes in the mirror. Yeah. And I just and so now I'm crying that I can't do that. And now I'm shaming myself for not being, and I'm like, oh, I am a hot mess. I wasn't a hot mess. I just didn't love myself. I just had never been taught that was okay. I was taught that was selfish. Yeah. And so there's a huge difference between selfish and self-respect. And everything you guys are talking about in your journey is owning that self-respect. Yeah. Because selfish means putting your wants before someone else's needs. That's selfish, right?
Yeah.
Because I want ice cream. You are bleeding and just broke your arm. No, I'm gonna have ice cream. That's selfish. You're a jerk.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Don't,
absolutely.
ice cream over, like, no. Help the person, right? These are kind things.
Yeah.
But self-respect is, no, I'm actually going to choose that I am going to meditate every morning just because you want me to come and make you this fabulous breakfast that I've been making you for 20 years. No, I will, but I'm going to meditate for 30 minutes first.
Yeah.
And if you want it sooner,
You can
you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You'll figure it out. You know, that's self-respect. And it's not selfish. You're not like taking away from the other person. You're just setting a healthy boundary of what's okay and what's not okay for you to actually fill your cup. Because I guarantee if I didn't do my meditation in the mornings, you know, I'm not myself. Like I have that like I'll take extra time to meditate, and it is probably making Lilia crazy, although she knows why I'm doing it, so it's not making her super crazy. Is that I'll say, yeah, we're going to get up and work out at 8:00 in the morning because I start work at this time, and you know, we set out legit, and timing's not my thing anyways. I'm dynamo dominant frequency, so I have a whole thing about time. But that aside, if I don't wake up until 8, I'm still going to get my meditation in. Like I have to start my day with my meditation. Like the first 30 minutes of my day is my mental well-being time. Like I have to slow down. I go into gratitude. I go into forgiveness. Like right now I'm doing massive forgiveness rituals in all sorts of areas to release things that no longer serve me as I begin to move forward in my life and really aligning my values for me. So that's a super critical piece. Then I go and I drink my energized drink, and then we do our workout.
Yeah.
And so I've now scheduled, it's like 3 hours of me time in the morning. And for a lot of people, that sounds like, oh my gosh, I would never do 3 hours of me time in the morning. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? You're worth it. I'm worth it. I am worth 3 hours of me time in the morning, and I get to go at whatever pace, however I want in the morning. I have now gotten to a place, my family would be so proud, that it now only takes me 30 minutes to get ready versus an hour, because I would rather that other 30 minutes be part of my wellness versus getting ready, hair, makeup things. So I've gotten pretty efficient. So I'm not super elaborate and never really have been in hair and makeup. But I just now make it a point to have that self-care. I don't even like to call it self-care because that's even getting a bad rap right now, right?
Yeah.
It's my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you talked about that. It's your journey, right? It's your lifestyle journey. It's what are you choosing for you? And I think it's so critical for each of us to not look at New Year's or January or yay, 21 finally arrived. But to look at it as, who do I want to be?
Yeah.
How do I want to be? You know, what will fulfill me? How do I want to show up for me in my life?
Yeah.
Because especially as educators, Allison, you said this in the beginning, like we're caregivers. So we want to take care of everyone else first. And as soon as everyone else is good, then we take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
That's not self-respect. That's actually kind of being a martyr. I had a coach, a spiritual advisor coach that I went to in Sedona this past summer with Melissa. Tell me that. And I was like, ooh, that kind of stung. And instead of me getting mad at her, referencing that I may have some martyr-ish behaviors, she'd call me a martyr. I was like, ooh, ow, ooh, why does that sting? I'm like, all right, I got to get curious with that. And I got to figure out where that's coming from. That I feel like I need to make sure everyone else is okay. Like I'm responsible for everyone else first. That's not healthy. Like that doesn't serve me. That doesn't make me happy. So my go-to is to now lean back and go, ooh, I'm just going to pause. And so like I'm going slower in my life in order to get curious about that and recognize when I'm doing that versus going, no, everyone's good. Everyone's grown. I don't need to manage anyone. Like it's okay.
Yeah, that is something, and you've heard me reference this a lot. My responsibility, it comes up often as this something that is not serving me. And that is something that I have had to work on. And that gets uncomfortable because then it's like, well, am I being selfish, or I'm completely disconnecting from people or certain people, and that feels weird for me. Or setting those boundaries and saying, no, this isn't something I'm willing to do right now. That definitely is uncomfortable. But as soon as I'm through that uncomfortable moment, it's become moments now, not like days. It's like, whoa, I can breathe. So there is a lot that comes up as I've kind of gone through my nutrition journey. That now I'm like clear in my mental space that I can go, okay, let me identify these things that are showing up and really sit with them, kind of like you were saying, Sandy, take a pause and go, okay, wait, what is this? Where is it coming from? And what am I going to do with it? And something I've had to do is like daily affirmations. And sometimes it's a weekly affirmation. I have to keep telling myself for 7 days. Especially through my health and well-being, journey, I've had to tell myself, you deserve to be healthy. And like, it's okay to be healthy, because I'm so used to not being healthy and not feeling well that it's almost scary. Like, when's the shoe going to drop? I am not healthy. And so that is probably one that I will continue saying to myself for a very long time. It's just that one that I keep telling myself, and I'm really trying to hear it and say it to myself and believe it. And I'm still working on it. It's been a true solid like 4 months of nutrition, eating clean, and it's just, I'm okay with having to tell myself that every day. It's just what I need for myself. So, along with other affirmations, but I got pretty affirmation cards. That's always a nice thing to spend my morning pulling before I get ready for work. But yeah, it's definitely something that you have to teach yourself, that it's okay to be healthy. It's okay to devote time to yourself. And it's okay if that looks like 5 minutes or 3 hours. So
Yeah.
that's definitely a work in progress. And I'm okay with it not ever ending. That's always going to be part of.
There's always a new life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know my mornings, I like, because I've been doing this now for 3 years, it's like, for me, it's my happy place is getting up and doing a workout. It really is. And for someone that, hated working out, honestly, like ask Sandy, like she would always want, like, go to the gym or like
we've been friends for almost 11 or 12 years.
Yeah. And she'd always try to get me to work out. I'm like, no, don't want to go to the gym. No, don't want to do it. But it's like, now it's like, I have to work. Like, for me, working out, moving my body is what makes me happy in the morning, and what gets me going. And, and that's what I do now. That's my happy place. And like she said, in the morning, cause we've been together for almost a month now, like in the morning, she'll say, okay, we're going to work out at this time. I have to give myself an hour because I have to eat before I work out, because if not, then, it just, for me, my workout just doesn't seem the same if I don't eat beforehand. So I always have to give myself some time to get up and make my food and, eat and like let it digest and stuff. And I know I'm like, all right, I'm gonna give myself an hour. And sometimes, I'm hanging out waiting for her, and it's okay. Like, I'm totally okay with that, because I know that's what she needs to do in the morning to get up, and that's how she starts her morning. And then she comes out and she's like, all right, you ready? I'm like, all right, let's go.
As soon as I'm done with my meditation, like, I don't need to eat.
She doesn't meditate. I do. She just needs to meditate. So it's like, she comes out and she's like, all right, you ready? I'm like, all right, let's do this. So it's just, it's a new fun lifestyle, and I love it.
That tribe, that community, right, is so vital, whether it's a coach that you work with, for any reason, right? Or whether it's just a group of friends that you want to do it with, or even just one, that phone a friend buddy, where you're just in it together.
Yes.
And that tribe is so crucial to really just surrender and go, you know what? And the food prep thing, I'm like,
food prep.
I surrender. Like, I've been eating healthy for a long time because of my restrictions, that of just recognizing what food just really irritates my stomach. But I've never food prepped. I've always been like, oh, I'll just have some crackers and some hummus, or some, carrots and hummus and whatever, then I'll figure it out. And so it's never really been the science to me. So really learning the food prep side of nutrition so that I eat enough, because that's usually my problem, is I'm not eating enough. and I'm not eating enough proteins and enough veggies. And so learning that, because I don't eat dairy, it's this whole learning the science behind what different foods fuel different parts. And again, having been friends with Melissa for several years, like I know it, and she teaches the kids in Genius Camp and all those things, but applying it for me into my daily routine is, I told Lilia, like,
I was like, I'll food prep for you.
You can visit. I'm like, I'll clean up.
She's like, I'll just clean up. I'm like, all right, I'm all for that. I will totally food prep for you.
I might be slacking a little bit this last week, but I'll work on it. So, but truly, like, those of you that are watching and listening, like, wherever you're at in your journey, whatever it is, whether it's food, whether it's exercise, whether it's meditation, no matter which part of your well-being you want to make a change in, make it small, but reach out to someone and surrender that you don't have to figure out how on your own. My girlfriend Rhiannon just started her company, Hello Rituals. If you want to follow them on Instagram, she talks about amazing things in terms of spirituality and meditative practices. And she's making it super simple for people. So definitely follow her. If you want to chat with Lilia about anything Beachbody and exercise and how easy and fun it is, like this 9-week Control Freak, it's 30 minutes or less of our workout. I'm sore.
Because you would think 30 minutes, oh, who's going to get a good workout in 30 minutes? Oh no, it's a solid, like 30 minutes of just moving your body and moving muscles that you didn't even realize you had because you're
or knew how to work.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
But the fun part is that it's in my mind, I'm like, I can do 30 minutes because 30 minutes of that, 30 minutes to get ready, like in an hour, I can be off and doing what I need to do. And an hour of my day, like all day long, am I going to invest that in myself? So if I do happen to wake up late and go, oh my gosh, I only have an hour, I definitely have time to still squeeze in that workout and get ready. And I may be right on a Zoom call right at 10 o'clock. My hair just now dried. I'm good. I'm ready to go. But I'm worth it. And so is everyone else.
Yes.
And we get to believe that about ourselves and definitely be worth it. So if you want to reach out to Lilia, Raina's going to drop her email address in the comments below on Facebook. So it's both here in the webinar for those of you that are on Zoom with us, but those of you that are watching the live stream on the Conscious Educator Circle, Raina's just dropped that there. Raina, I adore you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Allison, with your nutritionist, if you want to jump in and share that information in the comments later, if you want to, if anyone wants to reach out to her. And or find someone that you're already connected to that's doing something that that you admire and want to join them on. All it takes is one phone call to say, hey, I love what you're doing. Can I jump in and have fun with you? I reached out to a friend of mine. I noticed that she was doing this snow kiting or kite snowing.
Snow kiting, I think it was.
It's
something
one
like that. Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. I think I would like be in the snow and fall on my face the entire time and it might hurt myself. But I want to do that because my word for this year is play. And if you haven't figured out your word for the year, think about what area, if you were to break your life into several different buckets of, whether it's family, whether it's finances, whether it's work, and whatever your buckets are, and look at which ones are working for you and which ones, for me, I've got a big old goose egg in 2 of them. One is romance, that's chosen. And the second one is in fun, recreation, and play. And I was like, I'm not playing, like I play, but I don't really play. And so my coach that I work with every month, she's like, okay, you get to do a play plan now. And so instead of doing a business plan, which I have and I do, and like all the things, I'm like, oh, now I have to do a play plan. And it's because my responsibility hat wants to go, no play, all work. And it's like, well, that's no fun. Mm-hmm. I want to live. I want to play. I want to have adventures. So I reached out, and it felt really weird for me to reach out. Hi, Janice, if you're watching, and say, hey, that looks like fun. Mind if I join you someday? And again, I haven't hung out with Janice in a couple of years, but it was like, why not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't hurt to reach out, right? I mean,
Right.
it doesn't really hurt to reach out to someone, or, you know, if you need something, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we're all here for.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up in these last few minutes, what if you could each, and whoever thinks of something first, I won't put either of you on the spot. I'll put both of you on the spot at the same time instead. So if you could tell people one thing that really got you through in the hardest time of like, why am I doing, like, screw it, I'll just go back. What was that one thing that helped get you through? Put them on the spot at the same time.
You know, I think probably for me was just really realizing that I was worth it, that I really was for myself really worth feeling better about myself, and actually like looking in the mirror and like loving what I saw. I know that, you know, if that really makes sense, like really looking and going, ooh, look at that. I look so pretty in those jeans, you know, like, ooh, like that. And really like understanding that all the hard work that I had put into and the sort of sacrifice at the time and, you know, and all that stuff was really worth it for myself. I didn't need anybody else's, what's the word?
Validation.
Yeah, validation. I didn't need anybody else's validation. I just needed my own for myself personally, to know that I really, really was worth it in the end, and, you know, and continue doing it, and still looking in the mirror going, ooh, I can fit to those jeans now, and haven't fit to those in a while. You know what I mean? And that type of thing. And like, and just being like, really being like, yeah, I did it. Yeah. Like, ooh, look at those muscles, you know, that type of thing. It was one of those, really celebrating myself and the hard work that I had put into it, and knowing that I had done it for me and nobody else. And, you know, I was going to be there for my son, you know, for a really long time. And, you know, and I could, and so, yeah, that was really what it was for me, is just knowing that, looking in the mirror, and I was really happy. And I finally loved myself for, you know, for me and what I saw. So,
and if you don't mind, and I'm totally putting you on the spot, so you can say no later,
Yeah.
but if you want to later on, is to drop in the comments your before
my before and after picture. Sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's pretty incredible to like she said, you don't really realize it along the way, but Allison, even you, like, your skin is glowing. And I know so many people have been mentioning that to you, and that was your nudge, like I want to glow, it's my time to glow. So
yeah. And I mean, the like purging all my clothes and having to get new clothes is definitely a perk. But I think mine really was getting rid of that fear. I mean, I was having like panic attack fears about seeing different doctors and trying to figure out what was going wrong. And I recently, when I turned 30, like genetics kicked in. Everyone in my family has high blood pressure, and I recently stopped taking high blood pressure medicine. I don't need.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you. And you know, it's like every day I'm like taking my blood pressure, like, are you sure it's okay? And I'm like, it's below where it normally even was with the medicine. So that really is my driving force. Every time I'm like, I really just want some chocolate cake. I'm like, okay, wait, how can I have that? That's clean, you know, because I know how I'm going to feel on the opposite end of that, or the other side of that. So I just keep telling myself, you don't need to be in that space of fear and anxiety, and you have options. That really, in a general sense, whenever I have had anxiety, reminding myself of the options that I can take control of has really been something that has helped me get out of that. I also have not taken my anxiety medicine in 3 months. So just kind of clearing everything out of my system. And, we live in that world of like, you go to the doctor and they're like, here, let me give you a Z-Pack and some this and some of that and some of this. And I'm like, oh, does that treat like a eye ache? Like, I don't know. So really, just getting rid of that fear and anxiety and feeling good, yes, also liking what I'm seeing, because that's added to that feeling good. But just not feeling like a hot mess express.
Absolutely. And, you know, all of this relates to how we show up for others in our life, you know, in that mental clarity, ability to make decisions from a place of strength and from that place of my cup is full. And so now I can pour into all of those that I love and care about versus doing it from a place of lack and going, never enough, never enough, never enough. But truly, like, taking the time actually gives you more time in your day. It gives you more time and more energy. And that's the reason I wanted to talk about this today, is your happiness is worth it. You are worth it, and you are enough exactly how you are. So I'm super grateful to both of you for joining today.
Thank you.
I know that this we did a little bit of a different format, and I'm going to start throwing in random formats, because that's what makes my creator brain happy, is for these webinars, for me to just bring on different guests and be able to have these conversations in different facets of life. So we're going to continue to do this. So any of you that want to jump on as a special guest, please reach out to me, make a note in the comments, and we'll set up a time to chat about the topic you want to bring to all of our fellow educators. And as we inspire each other to grow and create this amazing conscious community of over 1 million educators. That's my goal, you guys. So bring your fellow conscious educator friends into this world. And if you haven't already, I have been talking about the Genius Educator certification that's happening at the end of March. It's a virtual program, 2 weeks to join the Genius School movement. Still running a contest for that scholarship. And it is until the 24th of January, you can enter that contest. So if you have not already, it's an amazing opportunity to join the Genius School movement of conscious educators globally making a difference. So definitely enter that contest with the link below. Raina dropped it into the comments, both here on the webinar as well as in the Facebook group. So enter that contest. If you're meant to win the contest, then you are meant to be part of that movement, and it will be free for you. So and if you have any questions about that, just schedule a call with me, direct message me, and I'm happy to schedule some time for your individual situation and what that might look like for you to join. Lily is going to be joining the Genius Ed certification. She's already in, and so the rest of the Genius Camp team that's been working with me, Allison went through it a couple of years ago in person in Bali. Definitely an amazing group of humans globally that are really driving this conscious education movement that's all about personalized learning pathways for students, but it's also about us as educators living in alignment with our values and doing what we know is best and being able to thrive from that place. So lots of really cool stuff happening. Super excited to have you guys joining us. Allison, enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yes,
and yeah, we'll see you. I'm actually hanging out with her, so I have to tell her
goodbye. We're still together.
We're still together. So, and if you're not following us on Instagram, follow us on Instagram along our health journey. And I know Allison's on Instagram as well. We will drop all of that in the comments. All right. Love you all. Happy Monday, and have a great week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.